Hey everybody, welcome back to Bish's RV. My name is Josh the RV Nerd, and behind us another floor plan or another model I've never had a chance to get on camera before. It's certainly a floor plan you might have seen before, very similar to like a certain Rockwood model. J-Feather, Surveyor does some things like this, and obviously so does Ibex. This is their 23 Bunkhouse Essentials Only series. This is where Ibex basically, it's the same shell, body, and structure that they build in the bigger Ibexes with the crazy off-road suspension, but not everybody needs a big solar package, an inverter, a crazy suspension package, a camp kitchen. This doesn't do those kinds of things. This does, as the name implies, the essentials. And frankly, this is probably the style of Ibex that best fits my own personal use. Like I'm a simple, basic park camper. I don't get out there too awful often. But I like something with a little bit like it still has that thicker 3/4 inch roof decking, the 1.25 inch like floor decking on top of their aluminum structure. It also does things like this being an 8-foot wide Ibex. It's still 6'9" tall, even here in the Essentials series. They maintain the body size and the profile of their heavy equipped series, but they just peel out a bunch of the fluff stuff that guys like me, or maybe guys or gals, I don't know, like you, don't need. This RV is interesting because it still has a 60 by 80 true queen bed, and by default, I don't know that you really need to put it away very much, but on a rainy day, the Murphy bed space can be very handy. The road mode can be a little tight, but overall isn't bad, and we're going to hit on all those things, the things that where it soars and where it falls a little bit, where they nailed it, where they failed it, go through the RV and help you decide if this is, you know, your second camper the first time around. And if you appreciate that, hit that like button on the video and subscribe if you're new. Let's get rolling. And I gotta tell you, I am a sucker for these little elevated breakfast bars. I love these things, but I've got this crazy sentimental attachment to them because they remind me of the time when I was growing up and I was knee-high to a grasshopper, and I would go visit my grandparents' house, and I would sit at the breakfast bar, and my grandmother would make me an egg sandwich. And I love that memory. And you know what? I'm going to go home. I think I'm going to fry me up an egg sandwich anyway. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Those things are probably some of the worst things possible for your heart, but Lord, they're delicious. Oh, I love them. Big panoramic window over there in that slide. Doesn't open for airflow, nor do we have slide side windows. That's kind of some of the stuff that happens here in the Essentials series. What is kind of interesting, though, is they have the full body size of a full Ibex. Like, we're 6'9" from floor to ceiling. This is a full 8-foot wide, and that is a nice deep slide out so that 4 adults can actually sit there. And normally, I'm not a big fan of the knee knocker pedestal dinette posts, but in a case like this, where that keeps the table from getting accidentally slid out and falling out of the slide, I don't think it's necessarily a bad execution. I have not located any sort of power outlets over there in that slide, though, and having at least one set of household outlets around a dinette, in my experience, is something that can be very, very handy. Now, I want to mention something real quick. Right there, you're looking at an object you have not seen in a lot of my videos in the last couple of years, especially the last year, a gas electric refrigerator. Those have become less common. Ibex has Eastern and Western production, and that is one object that does change between the two of them. I'm actually in a Western edition model. Western models have a 6 cubic foot gas electric refrigerator. Standard, no swaptions. Indiana built Midwestern models have a little over 10 cubic foot 12 volt compressor fridge. Standard, no swaptions. So each region uses a different standard fridge with no swaption request ability, no custom request. Like, aftermarket, maybe a dealership could do some work, but I will tell you, it's easier to go from a gas electric to a 12 volt fridge. In the case of a 12 volt fridge like the Eastern models, I don't know Ibex's specifics in this, but a lot of manufacturers actually won't even run a propane line. So sometimes if it only has a 12 volt fridge, you may not be able to change it out. These bunks, by the way, are 300-pound rated, and look at how much space is between each of the bunks. They dropped the lower bunk a little bit. It doesn't sit up as high as many others, and with a taller ceiling, they had more room to play with. So, like, an adult can actually sit up, especially in that lower bunk. The lower bunk's a little bit taller than the top one, but an adult can actually sit up in there without cold cocking yourself, which is cool. Each bunk has its own light. Each bunk has its own set of USB plugs. It's a pair of USB Type A's, by the way, no Type C plugs. Both bunks do still have a ventilating window. Features like that, features like ventilating windows for bunks, features like a full window in the entry door. That is the kind of stuff that a lot of manufacturers will tend to leave out when they get into a more simpler, basic, price-effective series. Now, the full Ibexes also have a central vacuum system. This one does not have, but they do both share this in the kitchen. They don't have a propane oven, either of them. Ibex just doesn't do those. It does have a convection microwave down there with a 3-burner stovetop. You find that here in the 8-foot wide series. You find a 2-burner stovetop in the 7-foot 4-inch narrow body series. You'll also see where it's TV prepped up here instead of having a TV standard, which I'm okay with. I don't go camping to watch TV, but I don't judge those that have a TV in their camper. That's not my place. It's your life, not mine. I don't care how you live it. Just be cool to other people. That's all I like to think, you know. That's kind of the whole thing with the Essential series, though. They do a lot of prep work so that if you want to add something, basically it's already there for you. But the really big things, like, you know, they have a thicker roof decking on these, they have a thicker floor decking, they still include a big awning on the outside of the RV. Things that you probably can't do at home in the garage or the barn or pay a dealer to do, they do from the factory still on these. But the big expensive widgets and whiz bangs, those are things that they just don't always do on the EO series. So if you want to add a couple things, like you want to put a bigger vent fan in the bathroom, do it. It's easy. You want to add some solar to this RV, they've prepped it. But they're not charging you those kind of dollars by default. Now up front here, we've got that 60 by 80 bed that is kind of sort of walk aroundable because you have those really big aggressive side stands over there. But if you're looking down below, you can see a little bit of that Murphy sofa sticking out. They do the same kind of Murphy bed system here that they do in the rest of the Ibex family. But to show that, I'm going to have to take you over the realm of wide-angle lens mode. So giving you a second to catch your bearings there, this is a very simple, easy bed to put up, down. And again, it is a 60 by 80 true queen. It's not gas strut assisted, but there's not a big, heavy mechanical object that you have to lift and lower. It's just the mattress. It's pretty simple. Now, that does mean this is a bendy bed camper, which can mean replacing the mattress is trickier. A lot of people tend to just put a foam topper on them and call them macaroni and go that route. There's those headboard power pockets back there. I'll get you a better look at those things later, now that I think about it. I do like how there's household and USB outlets on both sides of the bed, but the Essential series doesn't have the 2,000 watt inverter of the bigger series. Now, you've heard me say how this doesn't have. I've said that a lot. It makes this camper feel like you're settling. There's just some people just don't need all of that. Some people just need the essentials, and by not including those things, you are saving weight and several thousands of dollars, and that's not a bad thing for everybody. And what do you think about this? They don't do any sort of kick-out incliners, but they have that kind of open face storage with cargo netting down below it, so that, you know, that is available storage and cargo space. But do you miss the lack of sort of incliners? Now, let me throw an idea at you here. You could always get like a little cube, ottoman, futon, sofa storage thing. And look at how much space you have in front of that sofa. So you could have like a little bench there during the day and still be able to walk in and out of the camper and not block anything off. But again, that's not something that's just by default factory included with this thing right here. Oh, something else I think I forgot to show you. Check this out. It does have a privacy curtain there for the bed, which is kind of cool. Now, it's a little bit sheer, but at night when you're not backlit, no one's seeing through the thing. So at that point, it's going to do the thing that it needs to do effectively. The dinette obviously can fold down for sleeping. There is storage below both sides of that dinette as well, which is nice. And remember, your refrigerator changes whether you're looking at an Indiana-built model or a Western-built model. I don't remember exactly where their West Coast facility is located, but East versus West production, essentially. Now, looking down here in the kitchen, the power outlets are located just below the kitchen countertop. They, with the laminated 1.5-inch walls that they have in these, they can't bury the outlets in the walls, and there's not a whole lot of overhead kitchen cabinetry in the kitchen available, so I think, you know, they did the best they pretty much could. I wouldn't be offended by like a little pop-up power tower over here in that corner, but those are a couple extra dollars as compared to just an outlet. Last I knew, they were like somewhere between 3 to 5 times the standard cost of just an outlet. So when you see manufacturers applying those power towers, you know that's money right there that you're buying. And I've phrased this badly in the past. It's not that it costs the manufacturer more; it's that it costs you more. You know what I mean? In the long run, eventually you're the one that foots the bill for everything. So let's be real about that. Space around the toilet, pretty fluffy friendly. That is fairly fluffy friendly right there, with a couple nice little shelves right there for the butt napkins, as it were. So you do have plenty of toilet paper space. Now in the Essential series, you do have the more conventional bathroom fan variety. If you're looking to upgrade that, I'm not sponsored by these guys. I don't do any sponsored content, but look up Hengs Vortex fans, Hengs, pound for pound, dollar for dollar. Simplest, easiest, fastest way to get a higher velocity fan in your RV. I mean, for less than half of the cost of a true Max Air. Max Air fans are nice. I do think that they are a little bit better overall, but for the cost, buddy, I'm going to throw those Hengs in my camper 10 times out of 10. That's the route I'm going to go. Now, the road mode on this one is actually pretty good, and the thing is, it travels really well with the like you can maintain use of the bed. I think one of the best ways I can showcase that for is actually stand back here and flip us into road mode. Because this is what I'm talking about for road mode. If you know, with the bed down, there's like a foot left at the end of the bed. It's still easy to get around. Frankly, they probably could have built this RV like a solid foot shorter, and I don't think you'd lose anything. I think it would still fully function. I didn't get you a good look at those. Just the little pockets behind the headboard. Again, they have outlets on the front side, but not the back side. I don't know. Should they have outlets on both sides? I don't know. Because like I want to say yes, but every time you start adding stuff to RVs, you start increasing pricing, and man, it adds up quick. I can tell you that. I've looked at some price build sheets. Now, enough of all that. You've got your dinette slide and the Peninsula countertop over here. The thing is, the way that they do this, they keep it just short enough where let's be real about it. If you're a person of a larger stature, you may not be able to squeeze your way through here. However, you can see that with my little chicken legs, I can walk my way through here. To get back to these 300-pound rated bunks, I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but they are 300-pound rated. But you can also do things like you can still access, you know, your pantry. You can still get to your bathroom. So this is kind of what I call like A minus B plus road mode access. It's not perfect, but it's far from terrible. Now, I want to clarify a comment I made earlier. They could have shortened the RV by a foot. On the one side of the RV, that seems very simple and easy. When you get over here on the door side of the RV, you don't really have a foot to give up because you can't steal from one side of the camper and not the other. Like, if you did that, then the bed would fold down and basically be in front of the door, and the window would be probably lost. It would get weird. You'd have trouble with the awning arms. Anyway, I'm not farming for feedback on that one. I kind of opened my mouth before I really thought about it, which my wife will confirm is something I'm very good at. So in terms of the size and weight factors for towing and going, this one comes in very nicely, just slightly over 26 feet, but basically 26 feet. And if you notice, like most of your tandem axle Ibexes, it has maintained a very respectable cargo capacity. Now, we talked about this a little bit on the inside, how they, in the Essentials series, they don't overdo anything. They do a lot of prep work, though, so that if you want to upgrade and upfit certain things, you can. For instance, up front here, it is kind of surprising in a way that they have maintained a manual tongue jack, but again, it's the same 3-bolt pattern as any power tongue jack. That is not a hard thing to swap out right there. They are solar prepped on these. They don't do a big factory solar package on the Essentials only series, versus the Ibex proper now has, well, not even 200 watt, but a 400 watt solar package. So They're, you have some very clear divisions and things there. Like the underbelly's still enclosed. You still have the magnet holdbacks. That's kind of cool. An interesting thing, they do a key-like system on this, so you don't have a whole, like, jailer's list of keys. Like, you don't have to walk around like I do with a whole bunch of different keys. Sorry, I put that right in your face. That was kind of rude now that I think about it. It wasn't intending to be that way. Regardless, you get the idea. You'll have one key, and that's all you need. You may also notice, too, something I like about these. It's what you don't see. No outside speakers. And I am A-okay with that, because most RV outside speakers sound like crap. They sound like Uncle Gary farting on a snare drum. You know, snail drum? I don't know. Somebody pump into an AI kind of like Chat GPT thing, a snail drum. I bet what comes out of that thing is going to look like a Pokemon. Anyway, common import tires, common leaf spring suspension. That's what you're going to find on the EO series versus the full Ibex. I do want to point out a couple points of concern and consideration right here. As a dad myself, this is kind of something that I became aware of once I had a kid. You've got your hot water heater and furnace exhaust over here right under the middle of the awning side. Now, the furnace exhaust doesn't bother me too much because when it is cold camp season, you're probably not going to be sitting there in a picnic chair right next to the furnace exhaust. But the water heater, being gas and electric, that will still provide a hot touch point. So make sure you tell the kids don't touch that, or make sure you put something like the picnic table in the way so they can't. They did maintain a good size patio awning on this though, and I think I mentioned it's roof solar prep. They also have a gas grill quick connect, so I don't know why my voice just jumped 6 octaves. Turning into Mariah Carey over here. If your dog is listening to my voice right now, he's like, what, dude? Why are you whistling in such a high pitch? But regardless, they don't do an outside camp kitchen. They just put some storage there. Not everybody needs an outside camp kitchen. Not everybody wants one. But you want to bring a little fridge, you got to plug outside for it over there under the water heater. If you want to bring a cooker for that hooker, you got a perfect place for it. There is one thing I wish the EO series did that they're not doing, and that is one of those just simple brackets for a portable telescopic ladder. They don't even do the bracket. I think they should. Now, if you're just looking at this, you're like, oh man, there's a big old scar or ding or gash. It's static electricity. This little piece of plastic went flying through earlier, and it static clinged itself to the exterior fiberglass skin of this thing. And I haven't wanted to climb up on the bumper and risk slipping off to peel that thing off. So no, it's not a big gouge. It's not a big defect in the fiberglass. It's just, I'm in the middle of a factory. It's like the backing to a sticker or something that came off and went flying through the air when the fans kicked on. It's just how it is. Of course, it did what it did. Anyway, we still have the Bigfoot silhouette, the Sasquatch silhouette thing that you have right there. Speaking of Pokemon, Bigfoot would go great in a Pokeball, as seen on Rick and Morty, if you watch that show. If you do watch that show, and a lot of things about me probably make a lot of sense by the fact that I watch the show, and if you don't watch the show, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Single sewer outlet, always a welcome feature. The Essential Series, they don't have the gate valves and everything tucked up in the underbelly like they do the full series, so kind of keep that in mind. And in case you're not aware, if you're not educated to identify slide systems visually, that is a Schwintek slide. A Schwintek slide slides straight in, straight out, and in a lightweight slide like this that doesn't have a lot of stuff in it, it's fine. The key with a Schwintek slide is what you should not do is open and close them partially. You really want to hold your finger on that button until it closes all the way or opens all the way. And you actually want to keep your finger on that button until it stops making noise. So like if you have your finger on that button, it makes like a kind of sound while it's working. When it gets all the way in or out, it's going to kind of go for a second. Keep holding your finger on the button, because then you're going to hear it go through an adjustment cycle. You're going to hear like and then it'll totally quit. That's when you let your finger off the button. It's actually a self-adjusting slide system if you do it right. So remember, if you want all the widgets and whiz-bangs, they make a version like that too. But if you don't need all that, if you'd like to save a couple $1,000s and have a lighter weight RV, well, they make that too. That's what this one is right here. So I'll leave you some links in the description to check for pricing, availability, and also similar floor plans from other builders out there. maybe help you decide which one you would go with and why. Because they all do things, they all do something better than somebody else. So it's cool that you have a couple choices to really zero in on which one you might spend your money on. The lights just went off. I'm down here recording in the factory. Some of the lights went off. Hopefully these are motion lit and I'm not getting locked inside this sucker, because I've had that happen before and getting out was a trick when the front gate was locked and there's barbed wire over the top. So it's like they're making the new Ibex escape room edition. I'm going to go find somebody and get out of here. Take care, stay safe, have fun, and good luck, everyone.
Would you like to play a game?